Hello everybody, welcome to another 9th Age Battle Report. This is probably one of the last games I'm going to get in before I head off to the Fading Flames online league, which is 5 games over 10 weeks, so looking forward to that. Interesting game, this one as well. It's the Orc and Goblin list that I'm taking and the Ogre Khans list that I'm taking, so you can take 2 lists to these games, and this is both of my lists pitted against one another. So anyway, 4,500 points against my good buddy Silas. As always, I'm going to ask you to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you've not done so already. I will flash up the list and you can take a closer look, and then we will get into deployment. Okay, here we are in deployment then. We are on map number 11 and the deployment type is refused flank, and the secondary objective is the spoils of war. You can see I've got 3 units marked here. We will also remember to mark Silas's units later on, but he can only mark 3 units, so his are a foregone conclusion. There is 2 Tuskers here and his tribesmen here. So let's just go through the deployments then. We'll start with me, I think on the top left. So I've got a chariot and a goblin king here, splatterer here, unit of Nasher Dashers, big unit of feral orcs, unit of common goblins with a witch doctor, wolf rider, another splatterer up here, unit of raiders here. These ones are on spiders, another unit of raiders here, big unit of iron orcs. This has got an iron orc chief BSB and the shaman in it, another unit of feral orcs and another unit of Nasher Dashers. On Silas's left to right, we've got saber-toothed tigers with a mammoth hunter. We've got a rocker and rocker BSB down here, big unit of, not that big, a unit of Tusker cavalry, saber-toothed tiger, unit of trappers, decent sized unit of tribesmen with the shaman, another unit of trappers, another unit of saber-toothed tigers. This mammoth hunter here is the general, another unit of Tusker cavalry and the slave giant over here. That's deployment. Okay, this is Vanguards. Vanguards was kind of entertaining actually. It started with this unit of trappers here moving into the ruins, setting a trap and then moving out of the ruins. And then my raiders here moving 0.1 inches sideways to set off the trap, forcing them to take dangerous terrains, but of course they are striders, so they pass the dangerous terrain. So I kind of think of these spiders as the sort of bomb squad really. So that's why there's no trap on the ruins here. And then Silas has got his trappers moving up here, and you can see my 2 Wolf Rider Raider units have reformed and moved around slightly. Saber-toothed tigers coming around the flank here, and these saber-tooths moving up this way as well. That's Vanguards. Okay, Silas's movement 1 here then. So, I mean, the movement phase speaks for itself really. It's a cautious advance towards my lines. The refused flank is the aptly named deployment scenario because he's not able to get around my flanks. Points of note, this rocker BSB here, positioned to minimise potential catapult damage, but also preventing him from charging next turn. I think that's noteworthy. And a trap on the hill over here set by these trappers. And that's Silas's movement 1. Okay, end of Silas's turn 1 here then. So in the magic phase, I've activated my first binding scroll and prevented Silas from casting the totemic summon because I don't want a beast coming on and killing my catapult. Points well spent, those are, I think. So Silas has got Swarm of Insects off in the magic phase, and he's killed a spider raider. And the hunter over here has killed a Nasher Dasher, and that is turn 1. Okay, my movement 1 here then. So 4 charges. The Dashers have hit the hill, wheeled, and then gone into the trappers. That's triggered the trap that they'd set, which has killed 1 Dasher, but that's okay because that means that the feral orcs can be where they are without triggering the trap themselves. a nice swift striding 9 here, so the chances are that one of these 2 units will fail. My goal here is to have this unit take both of these one at a time. Made it in with the chariot down here, but also charged with the king, who failed, so probably bad news for the chariot, but they're here to protect this flank and delay the progression that Silas will make down here to give my catapults plenty of time for shooting, and then chaffing up down here, hoping that Silas will charge both of these units so that the feral orcs can then charge in my turn, being the idea. And that is my movement 1. Okay, on to the end of my turn 1 here then. So in the magic phase, I've got Trial of Faith off and caused 2 wounds to Silas's BSB over here. And then in the shooting phase, the catapult that couldn't see the Rock BSB instead inflicted 2 wounds on this giant over here. The raiders caused a single wound from shooting on the tiger, and we rolled it as a panic check, and later we realised that that shouldn't have happened. This tiger shouldn't panic because it started the game as a single model, so apologies for that. Chariot won combat over here, which was very lucky, but the tiger stood held, and it will consequently get punched in the face and die next turn. The dashers here beat the trappers, but the trappers held on Silas's general's leadership here, and that's the end of my turn 1. Okay, Silas's movement 2 here then, so several charges, most of which have succeeded. The giants got in here, but the saber-toothed tigers have not, so this has worked out for me because this is going to enable me to take the giant out first. Tusker Cavalry have got in on the Nasher Dashers here. Obviously what Silas is looking to do is to tackle this combat first, overrun into the feral orcs to support the giant. But this is an overrun that requires a swift striding 11, so that's quite unlikely. Really smart play down here, not charging the wolves with the Tuskers so that the Rock can kill the Dashers, and then the feral orcs can't charge past the wolves, but the Rock can fit through this gap, so this is really good play down here. Rallied the trappers and rallied the tiger that shouldn't have run away anyway. And that is Silas's movement 2. Okay, end of Silas's turn 2 here then. So in the magic phase, I've activated my second binding scroll because I still don't want a totemic beast coming and killing my catapult. I need my catapults to do a job. He's got Swarm of Insect off on the raiders here and killed another one. The hunter down here has done away with the chariot. The Rock has done away with the dashers. And the feral orcs have finished off the giant. And that was the end of Silas's turn 2. Okay, my movement 2 then. So you'll notice I've activated my war cry. And that might seem premature, but there are reasons behind it. The feral orcs here are charging this Tusker cavalry unit, and I expect them to win because the Tuskers don't have their impact hits, and I plan to buff this unit in the magic phase as well. And I want to catch them because they're a secondary objective unit. The Iron Orcs have charged at the trappers, who could have fled, and that would have left them with a longer charge on the tribesmen as well. And if the tribesmen had fled, the wolves could have then gone after them. So it mattered that they had the distance. It also gave the Goblin King that extra inch, which turned out to matter for him to make his charge, and it's allowed these raiders to get into position here as well. There is an element of risk going on down here. The Rock is going to generate a terror check in these wolves here, and the Tuskers are going to be able to charge the feral orcs, but there is nothing I can do about this. I will be steadfast, but only on a 7, so an element of risk down here, but nothing that I can do to negate it. So that is the end of my movement 2. Okay, end of my turn 2 here then. So I've had a really good magic phase. I've got Awaken the Beast off on the feral orcs over here. I've got Smite the Unbeliever off on the Tusker Cavalry down here. And I've got a Trial of Faith off on the Rock BSB doing a wound down there. The Rock here survived a catapult hit. And then the other catapult misfired and inflicted a wound on itself. 1 wound on this Rock from some Goblin Raider shooting. King won combat against the Sabertooths here, but they held with the Hunter, and then the Orcs beat but didn't catch the Tusker. I had to chase it. I would rather have killed it, and I just had one wound left to go, but I had to chase it, knowing that I would run into this trap and expose my flank to the Tigers here, but I only have to kill one for them to no longer be able to disrupt me if they should charge me. So calculated risk, and the Iron Orcs killed and caught the trappers and then overran into the tribesmen, and that's the end of my turn 2. Okay, Silas's movement 3 here then, so a number of charges. Sabertooths onto the flank of the Feral Orcs here. The Rockers charged the Wolf Riders. Thankful that the Wolf Riders passed their terror check. Tusker Cavalry into the Feral Orcs here as well. Bringing his BSB round the back here. Nothing I can do to stop that now. And he's rallied with his Tusker over here and brought his Sabertooth Tiger back up. And that is Silas's movement 3. Okay, end of Silas's 3 here then. So he's got Awaken the Beast off in the magic phase, negating Smite the Unbeliever, and he's got a Totemic Summon off. Now it's facing the wrong way, but that doesn't matter because it's a random mover. It breathed its breath weapon and inflicted 4 wounds on the catapult, so killed the catapult, so pretty sad about that. In the shooting phase, the Rock inflicted 1 wound on a Raider over here, which was kind of fortunate actually, because then these Tusker Cavalry would beat and chase the Feral Orcs and not be able to run into the Raiders, so that kind of helped, I suppose, in a way. Hunter killed the Goblin King down here. Rock killed the Wolf Riders down here. Feral Orcs drew with the Tigers over here and reformed, so not a good time to be a tiger. And the Iron Orcs beat and caught the Tribesmen and Shaman down here. And that's the end of Silas's 3. Okay, my movement 3 here then. So there have been no charges. I failed a march check on my Raiders, which was a bit sad because I could have brought them around here and prevented this Tusker cavalry unit from charging at my catapult later, and that would have also meant that this Rock wouldn't be able to declare a charge as well. But I failed the check, so I had to settle for hoping that they will pass their discipline check and just block the Rock. Nothing I can do about that though. Witch Doctor out of his unit because I don't want him in combat with a Totemic Beast, so the Goblins are then blocking the path for the Totemic Beast, and then bringing up the Iron Orcs as fast as I can. Wolves here can either go for 1 wound on the Tusker Cavalry, which can't see them, so I might actually take out the Tiger first so they become safe. And then they can team up with the Iron Orcs later and do some chaffing and facilitate an Iron Orc charge is the idea. And that is the end of my movement 3. Okay, end of my turn 3 here then. So I've got Smite the Unbeliever off on the Tigers over here, which has reduced their resilience. And then I've also got Trial of Faith off on the Rock BSB, inflicting another wound on him, so we're chipping away at him. In the shooting phase, this catapult has jammed, but these Raiders have also inflicted a wound on the Rock, so he's down to 1, so continuing to work away on him quite successfully. Ferals won combat over here against the Mammoth Hunter and Tigers, but the Mammoth Hunter rolled a double 1, so fair enough to him, and that's the end of my turn 3. Okay, on to Silas's movement 4 here then. So his Rock here has charged at the Raiders who fled through the other Rock and 1 died to the dangerous terrain. He's also declared a charge against the catapult here and remarkably failed it. He needed a swift striding 5 and got a 1-2-2. So that was unfortunate for him. And then he has brought his Hunter and remaining Tigers up here to get after the catapult later on, and a double charge here. This is risky because this Tusker is worth the secondary objective and it's down to 1 wound. I don't think I would have run this Tusker cavalry into the side of the Feral Orcs here, and the Tiger had survived because all my shooting missed last turn. So Beast into the Goblins, and that's Silas's movement 4. Okay, end of Silas's turn 4 here then. So there was no magic and no wounds inflicted by shooting. Combat, the Tusker that came into combat over here, that had an absolute howler and missed with 5 out of 7 attacks and failed to wound with the 2 that he did manage to hit, and then was killed. So that puts a secondary objective back in my favour. That's desperately unlucky. And combat is therefore drawn over here. The beast beat but didn't catch the goblins, but the breaking goblins generated a panicked check in the witch doctor, and the witch doctor failed his panic check. So that's why he's running away over there. And that's the end of Silas's turn 4. Okay, my movement 4 here then, so no charges in my movement 4. The raider over here has continued running, and that's why he is where he is. The witch doctor and the goblins have both rallied, so that's kind of nice. And full steam ahead with the iron orcs and the wolves coming to be a nuisance. Going to try and do some shooting on this rock as well. And that's the end of my movement 4. Okay, here we are, end of my turn 4 then. So I've got a totemic summon off here, and obviously the intention there is to breathe on this rock, but you can see that hasn't done any damage, so that didn't work out. The hunter over here had an absolute howler against the feral orcs, and didn't do any wounds, but he did hold at the end of combat, and that was the end of my turn 4. Okay, Silas's movement 5 here then, so just one charge which has failed, which was a swift striding 6 to get to the catapult here. So Silas has been quite unlucky in his attempts to take out my catapults, I feel. Hiding behind the impassable terrain with the rock here, which is down to 1 wound, so that makes the iron orcs unusable with the amount of time left, and getting his rock here into a position to maybe come after the feral orcs here. Random moving into my witch doctor as well with his beast, and there's nothing that I can do about that. So that's the end of Silas's movement 5. Okay, end of Silas's 5 here then. So you can see that the beast killed the witch doctor, and the feral orcs have now killed the hunter. I've elected to reform this way so that I can move off the hill and use the hill as cover, because I don't think that these feral orcs can take out this rock should it charge me. Not that I don't think, I'm sure that they can't. So just going to go and hide now and hold on to my secondary objective. And that's the end of Silas's turn 5. Okay, on to my movement 5 here then. So the beast has gone in on the rear of the tigers here, with the intention being that it gets a charge and 2 points for a rear. So if it survives, it's on at least 3 combat points. Noteworthy that my intention had been for the beast to come at the rock to take out this last wound, because I'd expected the catapult to be dead. If the catapult had been successfully charged, then the beast would have gone this way. Wolves also coming around. I've only got to inflict 1 wound on this guy, so hoping for some shooting success there. Backing off with the goblins, hoping to tempt Silas into a charge with the rock here, so that the iron orcs can make a last-ditch attempt at it. And then running away with the feral orcs up here. And that is the end of my movement 5. My turn 5 then. I should have mentioned the raider ran off, but nobody cares about that anymore. Got a swarm of insects off on this rock here, but didn't do any wounds. I got awaken the beast, giving my iron orcs more resilience, just in case Silas charges the goblins here and then makes probably a bit of a suicide run really at the Tusker cavalry, but just as an insurance policy because I can. Catapult did kill the rock, and the beast died in combat over here. That's the end of my 5. Silas is 6 here then, so you can see that he's got into the catapult over here and the beast has gone in at the goblins again, and then just putting distance between himself and me, exercising some discretion there. That's the end of Silas's movement 6. End of Silas's 6 then, so the catapult held on a double 1, which was quite remarkable, and a drawn combat with the beast. beast by the goblins. End of Silas's 6. My movement 6 here then, so just bringing the Shaman and the Raiders in for some ranged attacks, which is all I can do. And that's my movement 6. And end of my 6, you can see I've inflicted a wound with a swarm of insects on the Tuskers here, but nothing of any consequence, and the catapult has succumbed over here, and that's the end of the game. Silas scored 2,180 points, I scored 3,392, so that's a 13-7. I have got 2 of his scoring units, he has 1 of mine, so I pick up the secondary objective, making it a 16-4. I think Silas played very aggressively in this game. It was much nicer to see him kind of come out swinging. I think he was desperately unlucky with his charges at the catapult, which would have meant that my beast had to go into that rocker rock, but might have still done the job anyway. But that, you know, I mean, that's potentially an 800-point swing, I suppose. Similarly, unlucky with the Tusker cavalry to do no wounds when it came in here, but was risky with the Tusker cavalry down to 1 wound and the secondary objective on the line. And to be fair, that combat shouldn't have existed as well, because the hunter rolled a double 1, which was exactly what he needed to survive prior to the Tusker coming in. So that's kind of relevant. Fairly happy with the way that I played the game. I think I sacrificed my feral orcs down here by asking them to deal with a Tusker cavalry and 2 rocker rocks. But that did mean that I was able to take out the tribesman and the shaman and then the general up here, and then use my ranged attacks on the BSB. So got there in the end, pretty happy with the results. On to the tournament. Right guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.